Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special ACBL edition of the Jersey Baseball Show. We'll be talking about changes and excitement about the ACBL this year, and probably the question that I get most of all is, what's going on with this expansion that we hear about, and the ACBL going from 8 teams the last few years to 16 teams, like the Power Five conferences, like the SEC, where we're adding a division. We're adding a Long Island, New York division. And here to talk about that today with us is Tom Hopkins, the co-owner of the Long Island Tigers, who will be entering the league as the New York Collegians. Welcome, Tom. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you. Good to be here.
Absolutely. So the first thing that I think everybody needs to know is that it's kind of an old school MLB setup, where there's going to be a New York, New Jersey division that my South Jersey Kings will be joining this year, and there'll be the kind of 8 teams that have been around in recent years. The Allentown Railers, won 4 out of the last 6 titles. They'll be back. Trenton Generals, defending champs. You got your Quakertown Blazers, kind of the landmark team in the league at this point. The Jersey Pilots, North Jersey Eagles, the Ocean Osprey, and the North Brunswick Matrix. And then you and Ike Goldstein, a longtime ACBL player, went on to minor league ball, coach in the professional ranks. You guys, I guess it seemed like, contacted or reached out to Joe Mazza, our president, and set up this Long Island division that's going to feature a group of 7 teams plus the New York Phenoms who play out of Staten Island, who were in our league the last few years, but now will go and join the New York division. And then the 2 leagues, the 2 separate divisions will meet at the All-Star festivities and for the World Series, just like no interleague play, like the old school MLB. So why don't you tell us about your division, how this came about, and the excitement of bringing ACBL baseball back to Long Island.
Well, we're pretty excited about doing this. Obviously, we've managed to get 7 organizations out here on the island, all of whom either Ike or myself have known for quite a while, the operators of those divisions, all of whom are either ex-professional players or college coaches, people that we have good reputations out here on the island, and more importantly, get it. They remember the ACBL. Some of them actually played in the ACBL, and they wanted to bring back a level of college baseball that is, not quite in, say, from anywhere from Queens through Western Suffolk. I mean, it's pretty much in the Hamptons League, obviously, for a longer period of time. So we felt that, there was a need. There were plenty of good players in the area, all of whom need a good place to play with the right competition, the right field sites, the right people running it. And so Ike had approached Joe, and we started talking about the possibility of bringing a division over to Nassau County, and that's pretty much where it came from. One of the things we did prior to Ike speaking to Joe was, we spoke about this before, we had to try to locate some field sites that we were comfortable with, presenting to the league. And then, of course, the main thing was we needed the right people. We needed the right organizations and the right operators to do it. So real quickly, we did the 7 teams of the Nassau Collegians, which are, our Ike's and my program, who were around back in the old ACBL. And
yep.
And Ike actually played for the Collegians. Hitters Club Hawkeyes, Kevin Hagelbush, Rob Capero, Randy Leeple, ex-professional players. They run that program out here in the Massapequa area. The Atlantic Whitecaps, Pete Kritikos, who is a Delphi alum and player, played some international ball, runs a good organization out here called the Beast. New York Crush, Greg Jeffries runs that organization. He's a coach at Concordia College. Oil City Athletics, which is Reed Gurecki. Reed actually played ACBL and played in the pro level with the Cardinals for a few years. And Long Island Baseball Neptune. Pete Monday from Pace and Mike Aten from Felician College from that organization. And the Valors, which is Lou Bernardi's program, who's a coach over at U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. He actually played in ACBL back in the day too. So that was the most important thing for us. You know, we felt we'd be able to recruit good talent through that network of, you know, operators and coaches. Then we spoke to Joe and we said, you know, we think it could work here. We think that, you know, we're actually appealing to a very large population. If you combine, you know, Nassau County, Queens County, Western Suffolk, Staten Island, you know, Brooklyn, the Bronx, we're talking a 7 million population roughly in that area that, you know, you can reach out to in some way, shape, or form to find your players, to find your fan base, to help with sponsorship, to do all the things that are necessary for a league to run properly. And we've always felt the ACBL was run very well and was very organized. And, you know, so we worked out some of the logistics and that's how we got to where we are right now.
Yeah, I think it's to expand our reach, you know, from Eastern PA and North Jersey, you know, up to a couple years ago, now expanding to Long Island this year and South Jersey, where obviously two markets that just have so much baseball talent makes me tremendously excited, you know, for what's looking ahead. And another thing that I think is really cool is, you know, it adds some more meaning to our division names when we move the Kaiser division. Obviously, Jack Kaiser, your college coach, one of the founding fathers of the ACBL, you know, that becomes the Long Island division. St. John's is back in play, and hopefully some possibility of doing some things at that fantastic stadium named for Jack Kaiser.
Yeah, we're hopeful. We've spoken to Coach Hampton and assistant coach Bethea about, you know, providing us with some players and hopefully, you know, being able to arrange, you know, some games at St. John's. And so we're waiting, you know, results of all of that. Coach has to go back obviously and work out details for us and, you know, see what the obviously cost and things of that is. But we have that same arrangement going on at a couple of other colleges out here and some pretty decent parks. And so we're very hopeful that, you know, we get this thing locked in. Of course, with the parks and with a lot of the other, you know, facilities that are alone, we really have to wait till like January because they don't.
Yeah, these are permits. Right. They don't worry about that in 2021 for 2022 things.
Correct. Yeah. So that's kind of the holding pattern on some of it right now.
Sure. And I know that as scheduler that it's, you know, we got to make sure those things are in place before we get them going. But I guess if you could take a second to your background, I think is pretty intriguing, certainly. Director of the New York Mets Baseball Academy, former director there, and some consulting work with the MLBPA. Just kind of for those of us in the New Jersey PA market that maybe don't know the backgrounds of some of the guys, you know, in the organizations in Long Island, you know, what are we bringing to, you know, the table here, and what sorts of resources moving forward? And that's one of the exciting things. Can we, you know, kind of pull together as far as helping the ACBL?
So actually, my career was in publishing. I spent 30 years as senior vice president over at HarperCollins and had done a lot of sports and entertainment work, you know, during that period of time, and obviously did, you know, met a lot of people during that period of time. And when I retired back in 2016, I had a long relationship with Omar Minaya. You know, he actually was Flushing Tiger before it was the Long Island Tigers. So he went way back with us and through the Mets and his tenure there and even there. The Met Academy was actually brought to me by a good friend of mine who since passed away, Kevin Surrey, who ran, who got, the initial contact. And it was youth baseball camps out here on Long Island. So we ran that for about 10 years, kind of kept my eye over it, made sure it was organized properly and got out there. And then did some work with Omar when he was at the PA. So that's kind of the background I had. And then, Ike, obviously I met Ike when he came to me. My youngest son was playing and he wanted to bring the Flushing Tigers back and the Long Island Tigers. So we started that up. And through that, basically, we met a good amount of the people that formed this current division of the ACBL. And of course, I coached here on Long Island at Roy College, and so he had made some connections there on the collegiate level. So we met Kevin Haverbush, over the years, competition with the high school teams and the recruitable kids and everything. And Mike Aten, those people, Peter Monday, all those guys were coming out to a league that we call the Northeast Scout League, which is up here in Glen Cove. We bring high school sophomores and juniors to play, on the weekends in front of a few college coaches every weekend during the summer. And that kind of evolved. So we started to kick the tires about, ACBL, and that's how it all kind of formed. And obviously I reached out to Joe, and then we started to talk seriously about how we could do this. But to us, it was really about having the right people involved. And so it took a while to actually sit down with everybody personally, talk to them about the vision for ACBL out here, and what the challenges may be. And so again, when we spoke before, it was about finding the space and finding the right people. And once we were comfortable with that, and everybody thought that this is a great thing to do and a good thing to bring back, and understanding the competition, understanding the player base, I think like that's important. But over a period of time, we got comfortable with it, and then we made Joe comfortable with it, and then we went on from there. So that's how we got it.
Yeah. So ultimately, I guess the real driver here is, it was again for me in South Jersey, where there were some, established kind of more like semi-pro or adult league teams where there were a lot of good players, and then there were a lot of, there wasn't the consistency throughout. This was, really a chance to bring back ACBL baseball to South Jersey that hadn't had it in a few years.
Mhm.
It sounds like, for you as well, this was a chance to, provide an extra, 7 teams. You're talking about pretty much 200 college guys,
Mhm.
a chance to, without going away for the summer, get into a quality, consistent, college league. And really this is about what's in it and best for them.
Yeah. And I think that's always been the most important thing for me. I mean, everyone knows that's in the sport that probably less than 10% that play actually ever make a living out of doing it once they graduate from college. And it's important on a path of their collegiate career to have internships, to have jobs, to some require it. Some families are not set up to have their son or daughter fly all over the country, or play away for 3 months and do that kind of thing. And for me, it's always been important. I think that the player has to be a rounded individual. Baseball playing an integral part in their future, but as I said, in the vast majority of the cases will not be their career going forward. And a good, positive, quality college baseball experience is a learning experience for them. They learn a lot of great things out of the sport. They obviously enjoy playing it, or they'd stop.
Right.
So they keep going, and we give them the opportunity, if talent and God willing that everything comes together, that they could extend their career and
Hmm.
maybe be able to either coach or play at the next level, or whatever they feel is, going to be their future.
Yeah, and it's such a, as you said, such an amazing and great internship area, not just Long Island, but obviously getting into New York, where you know those guys who are, where that's an important thing or a necessary thing for them. Why make them have to go away and take them out of such a great
Exactly.
area for what their careers could be?
Yeah, there's great networking opportunities, for these kids. Through my business connections and other, people that, we know in the league, an opportunity to have a day job during the summer, to learn, either in fields of finance or, being at arts or whatever it may be, construction, real estate kind of. Those opportunities, as you said, are there. But if you're playing up in Alaska for 3 months, they may not be there.
Yeah,
Um, so I mean that's a benefit for us. I think it's a huge benefit. But we have to work at it. We have to establish, kind of the next tier, the networking, that affords these kids that opportunity. It's one thing to talk about it, but it
right.
takes some work to really put it together and introduce them to, the right companies and the right people who understand where they are in their life, that they're athletes and they're, collegiate athletes, and that is a profile. But give them an opportunity to learn the skills that they'll need going forward, and also whatever their major is in college, to give them experience, in that, so that if they do have to stop and the ball stops rolling, after their senior year, that they have someplace to go potentially, and at least some skills to, give them a good entree into their chosen profession.
So I see it as being better for the players, better for the league, better for everybody, right? So your goals, I don't know if you've talked about or thought about it with Ike or anybody else, but what would you want to see happen in 2022 to say, yeah, this is the success that I thought it would be, and we're on the right track for even more? Because I think it's something that's just going to grow over time.
Yeah, I think it's the quality experience, both for the players, the families, and the operators. It's got to happen from every level. The operators have to be satisfied that, they're getting the right cooperation from the other operators, and, the support from the league, and that, we are able to get in the right facilities so that the players are playing on good fields, that we give them the opportunity to be seen by scouts, professional scouts, and we give them the right competition, so that when they go back to school, they've, on a very base level, they've had enough at bats, they've seen enough good quality pitching, they've played good competitive baseball. And for me, it's the administrative part is very much a part of this. I mean, you want the scheduling to be done right. You want teams to be playing when they're supposed to be playing. You want, the statistics to be, done correctly, so the players come out of this and say, yeah, I had a great summer. I played good competition. My records are there. I've been exposed to the right people. And, I got an opportunity off the field to meet some people who could help me, later in life. And I think if all of that stuff happens, then people will start to recognize them. People will start to come out to games. They'll start understanding that there's talent there. It's quality baseball. And all of that, will eventually lead to some sponsorships and some help from, local vendors and people who, do get involved, in collegiate athletics and help, with the kids. So that would be where I would, gauge this and say, we had a really good summer, all of those individual pieces. Obviously there's going to be bumps in the road, and there's going to be, learning curves that, we'll have to go through. But as long as that, is minimalized, professionally managed, I think, we're pretty much doing the right thing. And listen, hopefully, down the road, we'll be able to house more players. We'll look into that in a very, I would hope in a phased manner so that,
Mhm.
we're not biting off more than we can chew or offering, players from out of state something that we can't deliver on. But it just like, we did coming into the league, we have to be very thorough and we have to be deliberate about, what that would mean to everyone, where we, we house these players, how do we do it, because yeah, obviously, as you know, that sort of invites a lot of different issues that you have to be prepared for. And so go very carefully. And I think this year would be getting good players is going to be a big part of this. And I think if they've got good coaches and good people teaching them and exposing them, they'll relate that back to their schools. And you want the college coaches to say, you know what, I sent 3 kids over there last year. They had great summers. They came back good players, better than they were potentially. They got the right work in. I'm satisfied. The guys handled them properly. They'll do it again. And
Yep.
That's, as you guys have experienced, that's the key, having them support the program and have the kids come back, year after year. So,
Absolutely. Again, Tom Hockey's been our guest today. Bigger, better, 16-team mega ACBL starting in 2022. We're excited for it. And just the opportunities that this opens up, and I think the impact it can have on our league, again, the 3rd oldest college league in the country. Hopefully this is a boost that pushes us forward into the next for the next generation or two. So again, I appreciate the time, Tom. We look forward to seeing you at meetings and
Great.
seeing you at the field next summer.
Terrific. Thanks. I appreciate it, man.